NLBP TV. Today we are with Ruth Ratliff, voice professional, sound healer, speaker, and author out of New Jersey. And we are also with Alyssa Martin, intuitive life coach, voice teacher, and certified, heart
Heal Your Life
instructor. I'm sorry about that. I wrote it very quickly. Out of Pennsylvania. And thanks for coming and being on this panel today.
Thank you for asking.
So let's start with how about a little bit of background on each of you, just like really tiny, maybe 30 seconds, a minute. And then let's start talking about our own little journeys in voice and the spirituality behind it. Does that sound like a good way to start?
Absolutely.
All right. Ruth, why don't you go first?
Okay, very good. Sure, thank you. I've been a voice professional for about 40 years and a voice teacher for the past 20 or so, and just recently completed a certification in sound healing with voice. I'm also certified in Reiki 1, and I just finished Saturday a 6-day long course with the Vibrational Sound Association to get my certification in vibrational sound healing. Ooh. And I'm going for my licensure as well. So I just got my massage table. I'm so excited, and my bowls, and it's to be immersed in that for 6 days to receive and give the healing sounds was quite profound. Recently, a couple of years ago, I wrote a book called The Voice of Women's Wisdom. I wanted to help women find their voices. I believe women are an archetype of the divine feminine, and that as we raise up our vibration and we also are more free with our voices, I believe this helps to balance the divine feminine and masculine in society in general.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us today. Alyssa, what's a little bit about your story as well?
Oh, wow, that is so impressive, Ruth. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. I have been more of an experiential learner, so I did have vocal lessons growing up, but I was born singing. Always just singing, and my journey was more of am I allowed to be seen? Am I allowed to use my voice and have people listen to it and look at me? Because I was so super shy.
Okay.
That my whole journey was about being able to use your authentic voice. So a lot of my training is through just experiential singing in a band and allowing myself to come more and more out of that shell. And then also I have a history of anxiety that comes from the shyness, that comes from putting myself through a lot of filters before I was able to share what was on my mind and in my heart. And so about 10 years ago now, I got into the work of Louise Hay, who really is one of my mentors. So I loved her work so much. It really helped me change from being in so much fear and anxiety to just being more and more every day of my authentic self and using more of that authentic voice. And so I got certified to teach her work, and I am certified life coach in her methodologies. And so I've developed the workshop Discovering Your Authentic Voice, where we are going to and what you said, Camille, I was like, ooh, we need to address that you are using your voice. You're using it. I mean,
I
thought the same exact thing. I thought the same thing. It has nothing to do with whether you can sing or not. Or whether you think you can sing.
But I won't sing for any of you.
I hope we'll go into that, because what you've created with NLBP is a huge voice.
Yeah.
It's a huge voice.
Throat chakra.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm really excited to be here and to have this synchronistic coming together, and I just think the world of both of you, so I'm excited to be with you.
Excellent, thank you. Well, it was, and even as you were telling your story, I was like, yep, this is it. This is why I felt that they needed to meet, because you were talking about your journey and finding your authentic voice and teaching the kids. And then I had, Ruth, was all about finding your voice and, speaking the wisdom behind it. And I was just like, oh my God, they're on the same journey. It's just different states and different places. So I want to talk a little bit about your experiences. We can kind of go anywhere with this, but I'm really curious about the voice and the sounds when you talk about being a sound healer and how you're creating those sounds and how that connects to spirituality. Does that make sense? Like how your voice, especially like in churches and everything, there's churches that, sing and it's part of praying, and it definitely brings you to a different place when you sing. Even me singing in the car alone where no one can hear me, it definitely calms the soul. Can you talk about on that, or even why it happens, or how it happens, or how it's closer to spirituality, either one of you?
Yeah, Ruth, take that one. I think you're always thinking about that.
At least partly. I certainly can speak to some of the science that I've been studying.
Okay.
There's a couple reasons for that. When you, the study of cymatics, which is the sound of how sound affects vibrations, how vibration and sound and your voice affect matter, and therefore your body and your cellular structure. And also the study of human bioacoustics. Your voice literally is a representation of who you are. So that's one piece of it, is that you are, when you are chanting or toning or singing a hymn in church, you are expressing you. Literally, it's you, because your life force energy is carried on the voice. It can offer some much deeper experience of our living instrument. And I remember I did the study of human bioacoustics is, just to give you a brief background on that, is they have found out that the voice is literally a holographic representation of your state of health and wellness. And it also is a representation of your emotions, your experiences, your intellect, and so forth. You can tell so much about a person by their voice. You could tell, their emotional mood, if they're lying or not. You can, if they're tired on the phone. You don't even have to know them or see them. You can tell a lot about a person by their voice, where they're from, if they are, how much education they've had. So what they have found out is that this woman, Sherry Edwards, is the scientist that did the work behind this. She devised a computer program that if you speak into a microphone, that will spit out a graph, produce a graph with high and lows in it, which are representative of frequency-based biomarkers. And those are representative of your state of health and wellness, like where you're out of balance. It was fascinating. I had to...
Make an app for that.
Well, she does. You can buy it, but unfortunately it's Windows. You have to have Windows. I would have had it already, because I can't wait for her to come out with, one for Apple, because I'm dying to get it. Yeah, you can get it. So I did find a practitioner, and I had blood work done a few months before that, and the results of the voice print exactly matched the results of my blood work.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So there is that. That's the one piece of it. That's why there is this feeling of bringing your soul out. Literally, you're bringing you out in your voice. The other piece of it, the science of cymatics, which is fascinating. If anybody, I'll spell that because it's an unusual word. It's cymatics, cymatics. And what that is, as I said before, it's how sound effects matter, okay? So they've done tons of, one guy, his name is John Stuart Reid, he's in the UK. He's a very brilliant scientist who has studied this extensively and has also made this wonderful machine called a cymoscope. And what it is, it's just this instrument. I don't know how big it is. It's sometimes, I think they have a little cymoscope too that's not too big, that has a little drop of water in the bottom and a camera, a video camera underneath, and you will introduce sound into the machine, which will affect the droplet of water, and they take a video recording of the effects of the sound on the droplet of water. And each and every sound creates this amazing, beautiful pattern of geometric, sacred geometry. Then they call them sonic mandalas. And our voices also do this. Our voices especially do this, make these beautiful, beautiful geometric patterns that would put a snowflake to shame, literally. And so it's a very complex pattern. So that, if you take it, reverse engineer that back to your body, when you make sound, we're 72 to 80 something % water depending, right? Yeah. You're literally bathing your body in these beautiful patterns. And not only that, but you're also bathing your body in higher vibrations, because our voices, the frequency of our voices is much higher than the frequency of our body. So you are bathing your body in higher vibrations and in the form of those beautiful cymatic patterns, those mandalas on the membranes of the cells. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say that would also explain why some people's voices are more soothing than others too. Anyway, like a mother's voice to her child is probably more
tone,
because you connect with it more. You know what that feels like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And you know it from being in utero.
Yeah.
And listening to her sound. Absolutely. And your cells also have little hair-like projections called cilia that act as little antenna and actually take in the sound like it's nourishment. And they take in the sound of your own voice, especially because it's you and your body loves you. Your body knows it's how, I heard somebody say this, your body knows it's housing this magnificent soul.
That's
so
beautiful.
It does everything. Yes. So there's a lot of science behind why sound healing, the sound of your own voice works with our bodies to help heal. And to open us up spiritually, absolutely, because your body, the more balanced and in sync you can be in your body, the more your vibration is going to be raised and the more open you will be to accepting, you know, what is being given.
Yeah, I love that. I noticed that when I do, I do Psyche work, so people kind of go through shifts. They go through energy shifts as you do it. And I can actually tell because the sound of their voice changes. And I know that that shift has completed.
So cool.
Because there's almost like a confidence that comes across. And even when I do work on myself, when I silently say things to myself, if I'm trying to build encouragement or whatever it is for me, I know when that shift occurs because the voice changes in my head, even though it's my own mind's voice.
How cool is that?
And that's really funny now that you say it, because that's the way I always knew when a shift had occurred in my subconscious and I literally changed who I was. The voice changed that I hear.
Incredible.
That is so interesting. Alyssa, in your work, do you find, because you do energy healing as well, and that life coach, do you feel like there's a shift in someone's voice as well? Is it something that you've noticed?
Yes, and I just love the beautiful way, Ruth, you described all that science. It's just, it's so amazing. It just gives us such a deep appreciation for what is going on, you know? And it's just like voice and emotion are like this together. Yeah. And so when I'm coaching someone, I can totally hear where we're at with the issue. Like sometimes they may come to the session and they'll be like, well, this is happening and this is happening and this is happening and this is happening and this is I'm like, okay, let's go back. Like, you know, I can just call it intuition or call it just the experience that I've had with the tuning into the voice and what the voice and emotion is conveying. That really helps me to be able to say, okay, energetically, I feel there's a lot around that other thing. So even though it sounds like, oh, you know, I really need to be able to pay the bills and, oh, you know, these other things seem more pressing, I can tell that if we get to that one that had the energetic feeling around it, I can tell yeah, that there was a blockage there, I can tell that if we get to that one, the other ones will release. I mean, they just will. Because once you get started feeling better about one area of your life, it kind of like dominoes it and it will infiltrate the others. And it's absolutely, and no two voices are the same too. And I find that within a person as well. So I have like so many students, I know Ruth does too. And I mean, I could tell who they are when I hear their voice, just like you can hear a singer on the radio. There's, you know, how many thousands of songs have you listened to, and you're like, oh, that's so-and-so's voice, right? You can tell. But then even within that person, especially the people you know well, you can tell something's wrong, or you know, you're feeling really good today, or you just can tell because they have a different voice within them. So the energetics and our emotion, it's just the voice is who we are. It's an expression of who we are. And we might try to stifle it. I know, you know, especially those of us who started out shy and anxious and really just afraid to be ourselves, afraid that we're not good enough, afraid that, you know, if we're in a conversation, you know, and I'll use an example. I mean, Ruth has so much training and so much science and and it can be intimidating to me. And I can tell myself, well, you know, are you really good enough to be on this panel? And you can start to have these thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. And then it is our responsibility to ourselves to really kind of dig into the energetics of what's going on with that. And for me, it always goes back to our thoughts. The thoughts then become emotion. And so now, where did that start for me? That science is better than what I have to offer, or, you know, and can we all meet and show up with what we have, have a seat at the table, have a voice in the conversation, allow ourselves to be heard, right? And just trust that we all have something to contribute, right, to every conversation. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
That's interesting that you say that, Alyssa, because I struggle with that as well. And you know, when I'm just spewing out factoids, I'm spewing them out beautifully with a lovely tone. No, and I'm imbuing them with my energy and my excitement, indeed. And I'm adding my own flair of my own experience. But I have had to go through quite a bit of my own upset about that too. About, oh, am I good enough? Who am I to do this, to take on this mantle, to, you know, because I'm getting all these messages like, you need to do this, you should be doing this, you should be getting out. I'm like, really? So when I hear you speak, I think how beautifully off the cuff you speak. And that's always been a piece for me, where I feel like I'm from my background as well, stifled a little from the not feeling good enough, being suppressed, and having that self-doubt. So we all struggle with that. We all. And, you know, I think that's the thing. You are honoring me. You're seeing, you know, the namaste, right? The divine in me. And I see the divine in you and in Camille. And that's the unique expression of the divine in each of us. And that's what you say. We all have something to share at the table. And it's our own unique flair, our own unique expression.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
For both of you, when you sing, when you allow your voice to be free, do you feel more freedom and less of those limiting beliefs in your song when you are singing? Either of you?
Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Go ahead, Alyssa. Sure, please.
So when I'm in that place, like the sweet spot,
yeah,
I don't even know that I'm on planet Earth anymore.
That's what I'm thinking.
am just, like I say, it's better than any drug I've ever done. It's better than anything, because it is, I don't even know I'm here anymore. It just complete oneness, like with, and it's crazy. I used to wonder what that's about, and, you know, getting into spirituality and getting to understand it more. And what Ruth is saying is, yeah, I feel like it's, connection to, like, what they say is, when you do what you love, time disappears. It just, I mean, you can do what you, and that's part of it. And I know that's part of it. The other thing is that I had a session with a really awesome intuitive Bill Foss, and it was when I started getting into the spirituality. Now I'm a rock singer by, you know,
Trade.
I don't know, by what?
Trade.
By day? Like, that's what I you know, I'm able to belt it out. I'm able to do heart, you know, like Led Zeppelin, and you know, really get loud. But then as I started to get into spirituality, I started to really appreciate some of the softer tones and Kundalini music, and just these beautiful mantras where they'll sing the same mantra for like 10 minutes, and it's just like so soothing and beautiful. And I started to get into that. And I was talking to this healer about it, and he said that makes total sense. He's like, imagine like what you're channeling at the moment. So there's two kinds of energy that I can channel. And he helped me so much by saying this. When I am that rock star, you know, belting it out, you know, and it might be in a bar, it might be, you know, whatever. That is goddess energy. That's like I'm receiving the people looking at me and that type of thing. When it is the healing music, it's Divine Mother. And so to actually kind of feel my head, I'm trying to feel it come through me and say, now I'm embodying Divine Mother energy. And so it comes through more gently, more soothing. Do you know what I mean?
That's beautiful. Yeah. That makes
It was so helpful to hear that.
Yeah. That makes total sense. We just had a business intensive, and we ended it with someone who chants. And I couldn't even tell you what type of chant. And I've gone to more than one retreat where people have ended it in that way. And it's so, I have no idea what they're saying, but it's so soothing. Like you're being brought along with them, you know, through this journey. It's beautiful. And I guess they're healing sounds. Just, are they different tones, like in music speak? Is it a different tone that makes one different than the other, or makes our body react to them like they do in chanting?
I think it's the intention too, but there are mantras, Sanskrit mantras especially, are devised, I believe, to, you know, carry a certain frequency, a certain intention. There's a thought, you know, an actual thought behind it, an intention that has power and energy. Definitely.
And does it matter with the person that's actually doing the chanting? So I know it's very specific, because I was talking to someone who had really no musical ability, but she said she had to learn every single note like it was separate.
Wow, cool.
To learn it. And she's the one who ended the business intensive for her. It was wildly powerful though.
Cool.
That she had to learn each tone though.
Mm-hmm. I would say that you bring your own, you know, because your voice is individual, it's unique. I would say you bring your own energy to the chanting, but I think that the chants are made, from what I understand from my course, the chants are specific. They do specific things. Each has a specific intention and energy. Okay. But you imbue it with your own energy.
Yeah. Understood.
So you don't, if somebody who's experienced as opposed to not experienced, you know, maybe the person who's not as experienced would be a little more tentative with their energy of their voice. And the person who was, so the person who is experienced would be somebody who would be helping lead, you know, like that woman was doing at the intensive, to help lead you all in that experience. So, because she was more confident in what she was doing. So there was an energy of confidence. Does that make sense? But that's what you're asking, kind of?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I was just thinking of another question, but I think you just answered it, was do voices change? Like the same person sings the same song over and over again. Does the voice change? Is one, they get better, but is it also that they have that confidence and level
Absolutely.
of knowing that they're hitting it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense, because
Yeah,
both of
yeah.
my daughter, I have two daughters that are actual singers, but they go through lessons and training. And I'm actually on a board of directors of what's called the True Voice Project. And it's a free community-based program to allow teens to hear their voice, and they teach them music and singing and all sorts of things. It's all called the Voice Project.
I have a student who's part of that.
Oh,
One
really?
of my yes, Alex Cicosino. Oh, I shouldn't say her name online, I guess, but
That is so cool.
yeah, she's part of that.
Ah.
She drives to Fleming, or wherever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Flemington, New Jersey.
Yep.
That
That is so cool. I
That's
would love
so
to learn more
interesting.
about that.
Yeah, well, actually, it's going to, now I'm announcing it on a national program. It's going to become actually, so NLBP is a socially responsible company. So we always give back to a project. And for a while, we've been doing what we call the Creative Kids Project. We'll be giving back to mentoring kids that have creative ability. But I think I'm going to switch it over now, actually, to the True Voice Project, because I'm just so impressed with the leader and the program, and I would love to see it go national at some point. But it is just amazing, and had such a life-changing effect on one of my children. It was just amazing to allow these kids to they pick the music, they do the arrangements, they break into groups to learn things, they do their own accompaniments, it's wild to watch them. You know, I don't know much about it, but it's all, and every song is different, and it's mixed, and it's for teens. You can enter at 13 and you can leave at 17, and it's free for anyone. And of course, it's donation based because it's a nonprofit, but yeah, just life changing for the kids that have been in it. So
the study of voice in whatever way, using your voice is life changing and profound, can be very much. And I know Alyssa has seen that with her students, and so have I, and with ourselves as well. To go, both of us. I was a shy kid too, very shy. My mother had to just about push me out the door to make friends.
Yeah, I'm still shy. People think I'm an extrovert, but I'm actually an introvert.
Oh,
horrible introvert. But I'm comfortable in this world, and I'm comfortable with the people that we attract.
A beautiful, beautiful introvert.
Yeah. Really. Well, thanks for being, pretending to be an extrovert and helping all of us.
Yeah.
But to just speak in a little bit to your question that Alyssa was talking about how the aspects that I'm working on now are trying to, when I do sing, when I was singing for many, many years, and sometimes the best times I would have would be in my studio by myself, just singing, and I'd give myself goosebumps, because it's just like it's one of your top 5 experiences. I almost want to say it's better than sex. All right, maybe it's on par with sex, but
clearly you have to learn how to sing.
But it's really
I might sign up for voice lessons after this.
Yeah, sign up, she says. I'm going to sign up. But those sounds that you make, they're so uniquely yours, and they open you up. And that's one of the things I'm doing now. I'm using my voice in a more spiritual way with the mantras and chanting the sacred vowel sounds. And it's very different. And it's so incredibly profound. You can actually feel the vibrations going down to your root, and especially when you tone the vowel sounds that are attributed to each of the chakras, chakra, whatever points. It's yeah, you can feel that, and some people see colors of the chakras as well when they tone. But I also just had an experience not too long ago. I was working on kind of like, I'm trying to move some energy. It moves energy. That's what sound does.
Okay.
And I was working on, I've been told I've been blocked in my sacral chakra and my crown. So I'm trying to move this Kundalini energy, you know, down to up, trying to get this unblocked. And I was working with one of the mandalas that Lee did for me, right? This little,
From our Lee and Me show?
right?
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I was singing to it. And it turned into wailing. And it was like this kind of, it had this almost like this Middle Eastern feel to it. And it was just so freaking powerful. And I just was crying and forgiving. And it was amazing. It was mind-blowing for me. Very powerful feeling, very powerful experience. So that was brought out from the sound. The sound helped to move that energy. So it's like a carrier of energy.
So would choirs like that have surrounded by other people singing and the same tone sometimes have a frequency that would rise together or feel that unison together? Is there some type of...
I would think so. What do you say, Alyssa?
Yeah, I mean, when you're, another one of my favorite things to do is harmonize with someone.
Yes.
With another singer, and like, we are going together, and it's just like, whoa, it's like a roller coaster together. It's like, wow. And because you're appreciating you, and you're appreciating them, and you're appreciating it together. It's so cool. And like when you were talking earlier about, you know, you experienced a group kind of chant.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
When we're all, even if we're not harmonizing and doing the beautiful things that a choir does, you know, soprano, alto, all these things, we're all coming together, very primal. We, like, say if we three just now did an Om, and then there's someone on the planet doing Om too. We are all connecting now to that vibration together, no matter where they are on the planet or the universe. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But we are all in that if each syllable, like Ruth was saying earlier, in Sanskrit, the idea is that each syllable carries an energy imprint, you know? And so when we invoke it, when we say it or speak it or sing it, we invoke it. So if we're all invoking it at the same time, we're all like on that same current frequency vibration.
I get it.
So we're connecting with like-minded people. And it's the same thing if we want to connect our thoughts. You know, if we want to be in meditation now, we're connecting with other folks who are meditating. We're in that same frequency. Where if we want to have a denser thought about life sucks or whatever, now we're connecting with all those people. So
right. Yeah.
So when we're in a room and we're together, like you could probably feel it, Camille. It's like your own experience and a collective experience. In your own experience, you might have the inner critic who's just like, oh, am I doing this right? Like, can they hear my voice next to me? I don't know if I want them to hear my voice. Like, maybe I'll just do it so I can hear my voice. And then you're like, wait, maybe I'll experience it better if I hear myself louder. And it's just like all this mind chatter. But eventually you'll break, because that's the idea. Now you've done the chanting. It keeps going. So now you've had a chance to break through that critic. And now you can get to that next layer. And that next layer may be like, oh, I'm now with all these other people. And, you know, you get to that point. And that's kirtan also is a practice where they'll, you have people playing music and doing the chanting, and then they'll say something and then the audience says it and they go back and forth. And it's in Sanskrit.
Oh, that's nice.
And Krishna Das is a famous kirtan singer, and we have a bunch locally too. And you get into such an amazing state, and they even play with the speed of the music. So it might start you're chanting slowly, and then it'll get like to like everybody's like jumping up and down, and then they'll slow it back down. And you know what's cool? At the end of the song, they don't clap. Nobody claps, because clapping kind of like clears away the energy.
Yeah.
So after the song ends, everybody just kind of is like,
wow.
and kind of feels what we just created together. It's so cool.
That's so interesting. I was taught that clapping clears energy. And all of a sudden when you said that, it reminds me of being brought up in a Catholic church, and you were never allowed to clap in church. And it was probably because it broke that spiritual energy. And I was thinking that one of the things I still love, although I don't follow the religion, is on Christmas Eve. Well, I don't still do it, but I used to love on Christmas Eve, I guess it was like midnight mass, they used to fill this beautiful church, and they used to just sing like all of the hymnals, the Christmas hymnals. And I used to think it was so beautiful to have the choirs all be singing for like an hour. They'd sing forever. And they wouldn't say the mass, they would just do the singing part. And I used to find it to be so unbelievably spiritual, which was interesting because I didn't follow the religion, or I wasn't there for a spiritual religion, like for the reason, but I just found it to have all of these souls together listening to these hymns that were clearly for their holiest day. Well, it's actually not, it's our second holiest day, but it was just this wild, it was wild for me. And it's still
you were actually getting a sound healing session doing that.
Yeah.
Literally.
It also brings me back to my childhood, though, because I lived across the street from a Catholic church.
Oh, lovely.
Went pretty much every day. But it also brings me back to that, to that feeling, to hear all those hymns and everything that I knew growing up. So it brings me back there. So it's kind of like another weird thing, but.
It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. So this has been incredibly enlightening. One more question that came to me. So when people listen to the radio, does that have the same healing or connection because it's just anyone's voice, like just singing along in your car, or just because I always have on music?
I would say it's very similar. There's levels of everything.
Yeah.
And singing along to the radio. Well, maybe I'll qualify that. But singing along to the radio, of course, may not have the same level, the same depth as doing chanting or toning. When you're in a meditative state. But along those lines, as I said, I was called. I'm doing a lot of. Recently, I've been doing a lot of releasing, and I've been having a lot of synchronous messages to guide me to do this. And one of them was I was sitting getting my nails done, and there was this music was on, and it was like it was all the music I loved from my teenage years. And I asked the guy, what station is this? He says, oh, it's on Pandora. I was like, okay. So I started to play this music on this station on Pandora. And as I'm singing along to these songs, I'm just crying and crying and crying. It was like it was another release, because it just brought me back to the joy, that teenage energy when you were a young girl, that young girl energy, the hope, the joy, the bubbly, right? It brought me back to that. And I'm tearing up now just thinking about it.
Hence why I listen to 80s music all the time.
Yes, it does. It's so, music. I had somebody when we were singing at a retirement community when I was in a swing band. A woman came up to us, and after we did a set, and she said, I have to thank you so much because my husband, who has had Alzheimer's for the past several years, recognized me while we were dancing to one of your songs.
My gosh, I got goosebumps.
And he hasn't recognized her in years.
Oh, wow.
That's the power of the voice and sound and vibration.
Incredible.
That's awesome.
And that's a pretty awesome.
What a gift.
And on. That's amazing. Thanks to both of you for joining us today. This is really a fabulous discussion. I'm so glad we decided to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.